Senate will come to order. The senators will please take their seats. Those persons not entitled to the privilege of the floor will please retire to the gallery. The senators and all in attendance will stand and be led in prayer by the Reverend Dr. Jerome A. Barber, 6 Mount Zion Baptist Temple in Hampton, Virginia. Following the prayer, all will remain standing and be led in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America by Senate Page Carly McLean.
Let us pray. God of grace and mercy, giver and sustainer of all life, we thank you for this brand new day, and we celebrate life today. Thank you for the awesome privilege to use our gifts and talents to serve you and this great Commonwealth of Virginia as public servants. In spite of all the difficulties we face in our world today, we're not distracted, but determined to fight for the good of those we've been blessed to represent. As this assembly gathers together to vote on issues relating to social justice, economics, and the environment, please remind us that we're called to be stewards and to be the voice of those who have no voice. As we deliberate today, may the faces of the least of these flood our minds. Facing the rising sun of this new, beautiful day begun, we will march on until victory is won. Hear us as we pray in your powerful, providing, promising name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Clerk will call the roll. All those in attendance will please record their vote aye. Clerk will close the roll.
You have a quorum, Mr. President. Senate Journal for Tuesday, February 18, 2020.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. The senator from Hampton, Senator Locke, moves that the reading of the journal be waived. All in favor of waiving the reading of the journal will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senators desire to change their vote? Clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 33, noes 4.
Ayes 33, noes 4. The reading of the journal is waived. The clerk will report any communication from the House of Delegates. Senior Senator from Fairfax, Senator Saslaw.
Mr. President, I move we waive the reading of the communications from the House of Delegates.
Thank the Senator. The question is, shall the reading of the communication from the House of Delegates be waived? All in favor of waiving the reading will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senators desire to change their vote? Clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 33, noes 4.
Ayes 33, noes 4. The reading of the communication from the House of Delegates is waived. The clerk will report any communication from the governor.
We do not have any, sir.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Now comes a time in the morning hour we have the privilege and the pleasure of welcoming our distinguished guests with us here in the Senate gallery. I will give my daily reminder that the way this will proceed is that a senator will stand up and recognize an individual or group. I will then offer the warm welcome of the Senate, and at the very end, we will all applaud together. And I'd like to begin by calling on the senator from Hampton, Senator Locke.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise for an introduction.
Thank you, Senator. You have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would like us to give a warm welcome to the Senate, to the individual who gave the invocation today, the Reverend Dr. Jerome A. Barber, who is the pastor of 6 Mount Zion Baptist Temple in Hampton. If we could please extend to him the warm welcome of the Senate.
I thank the Senator. Would our friend, the Reverend Dr. Jerome A. Barber, please rise in the gallery? Dr. Barber, thank you so much for joining us here today. Thank you for that lovely and powerful prayer to get us off on the right foot. And also thank you for your moral leadership here in the Commonwealth of Virginia. You do so much for Hampton, but also for the entire Commonwealth, one of the great leaders that we have, and also the voice of the Hampton Pirates. So we're proud of you in that capacity as well. I would ask everybody to please join me and extend the warmest welcome of the Senate to our friend and leader, Dr. Jerome Barber. Senator from Portsmouth, Senator Lucas.
Good morning, Mr. President, and happy belated birthday again.
Thank you, Senator.
I rise for the purposes of an introduction.
Senator has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, in the gallery today is Jamel Curtis Holly, who is a former councilman for the borough of Roselle, serving from 2004 to 2011. In 2012, he would go on to serve as mayor for the borough until 2015. Mr. Holly now serves as the Assemblyman for the 20th District in New Jersey and is the first African-American to represent that district. Mr. President, I would appreciate it very much if you could extend to him the very warm wishes of the Senate.
I thank the Senator. Would our friend Assemblyman Jamel Curtis Holly please rise in the gallery if you are able? Assemblyman, thank you so much for joining us here today. Thank you for your leadership in New Jersey and for visiting us here in the capital of Virginia. We're always happy to have leaders who hold up the best example for all of us in this nation, and so you're welcome back here anytime. And I would ask everyone to please join me and extend the warmest welcome of the Senate to our friend and leader, Assemblyman Jamel Curtis Holly. Senator from Henrico, Senator Donovan.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise for the purpose of an introduction.
I thank the Senator. You have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. Joining us in the gallery today are the members of Richmond Association of Realtors. They are a few of over 5,500 realtor members in the greater Richmond area. They represent clients both residential and commercial property transactions. And across the Commonwealth, Mr. President, realtors and real estate industry accounted for nearly $100 billion of our gross state product in 2018. I hope you will offer the warmest welcome of the Senate to my realtors from the Richmond Realtors Association.
Thank the Senator. Would our friends and leaders from the Richmond Association of Realtors please rise in the gallery if you are able? Thank you all so much for joining us here today, and thank you also for your tremendous work and leadership in Richmond. Realtors do such a wonderful job in providing opportunity and hope and security for families all throughout the Commonwealth. So we echo the generous and eloquent words of the Senator from Henrico, Senator Donovan, and you, of course, are welcome back here to your capital anytime. And I would ask everyone to please join me in extending the warmest welcome of the Senate to our friends and leaders from the Richmond Association of Realtors. Senator from Franklin County, Senator Stanley.
Good morning, Mr. President.
Good morning, Senator.
I rise for the purposes of introduction.
Senator has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the Senate and the gallery today. We just don't have realtors from Richmond. We have realtors from God's country down in the Dan River region. And they are here with us today at the Capitol. I got a chance to meet with them, and we had a really great meeting. And it's always great to see people from your area, especially ones that make such an impact on the lives of people, as you just previously said, and also have such a great impact on our economy. The Dan River Region Association of Realtors represents real estate professionals throughout Danville City and Pittsylvania County. Realtors are ambassadors for their community, representing buyers, sellers, landlords, and tenants. Realtors support vibrant communities through initiatives promoting economic development, fair housing, affordable housing, and helping Virginians achieve the dream, that American dream, of home ownership. And so I'd ask today, Mr. President, that we give the Senate warm welcome to the Dan River Region Association of Realtors.
Thank the Senator. Would our friends and leaders from the Dan River Region Association of Realtors please rise to the gallery if you are able? Thank you all so much for being here today. Thank you also for your tremendous leadership in the Dan River region. You do so much to stimulate our economy and to give families and individuals hope and opportunity. And so we are very grateful for your dedication, for your excellence and your service. And we echo the generous and eloquent words of the Senator from Franklin County, Senator Stanley. And we would ask everyone to please join us in giving the warm welcome of the Senate to our friends from the Dan River Region Association of Realtors. Senator from Williamsburg, Senator Mason.
Thank Mr. President. Mr. President, rise for the purpose of an introduction.
Thank you, Senator. You have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. On behalf of the Senator from Hampton, the Senator from James City County, because we're all super proud of the captains at Christopher Newport. And today's Captains at the Capitol Day. So there have been a lot of students from Christopher Newport in and around your office trying to say hello and see what we're doing up here. I hope if you haven't been to Christopher Newport in a while, you should swing by, because it is one spectacular university and facility and something we're all super proud of in the Commonwealth of Virginia and on the Virginia Peninsula. So, Mr. President, I hope you and my colleagues will join in welcoming and giving your warm regards to the captains from Christopher Newport University.
I thank the Senator. Would our friends and leaders from Christopher Newport University in the gallery please rise if you are able? Thank you all so much for visiting us here today. Thank you for your tremendous leadership of a very, very excellent university here in the Commonwealth, one of the sources of pride for all of us throughout this state. And we echo the eloquent and generous words of the Senator from Williamsburg. You, of course, are welcome back here anytime, and please keep up your tremendous work in leadership. We're all very, very proud of you. I would ask everyone to please join me in extending the warmest welcome of the Senate to our leaders from Christopher Newport University. Senator from Augusta, Senator Hanger.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise for purposes of an introduction.
Thank you, Senator. You have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the Senate. I'm pleased today to have you, Mr. President, recognize a resident of Stanton, Virginia, who is the current reigning Mrs. Virginia Senior America, Lily Wilson Huffman. Ms. Huffman has a long lineage going 12 generations back in Virginia. This pageant was established in 1984, I believe, that recognizes and honors the dignity, maturity, and elegance of women in the Commonwealth, promoting the wisdom and experience seniors provide in creating a foundation for younger generations to achieve greatness. Mr. President, she's here today with some other past participants and administrators of this pageant, and I would ask you to give them a special welcome to the Assembly here today.
I thank the Senator. Would Miss Senior Virginia Lily Huffman and guests please rise in the gallery if you are able? Ms. Huffman, thank you so much for your tremendous leadership and for your great example of how wonderful our seniors are and how much they do for everyone here in the Commonwealth of Virginia, such pride and dignity and grace. And so we appreciate you. We congratulate you all for setting such a wonderful example. We echo the eloquent and generous words of the Senator from Augusta, Senator Hanger, and I would ask everybody to please join me in extending the warmest welcome of the Senate to our distinguished guests. For what purpose, Senator from Eastern Fairfax, Senator Surville, rise.
Rise for request.
Senator's the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. Will the Journal please reflect that my seatmate, the Senator from Prince William County, is away on pressing personal business?
Thank you, Senator. The Journal will so reflect. For what purpose, Senator from King George, Senator Stewart, rise.
Morning, Mr. President.
Morning,
for
Senator.
a motion.
Senator's the floor.
Mr. President, I'd ask that the Journal reflect my seatmate, the Senator from Fauquier, is away from the Capitol on pressing personal business.
Thank you, Senator. The Journal will so reflect. Senator from Hanover, Senator McDougal.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise for an introduction.
Thank you, Senator.
Mr. President, today in the gallery we have some humans and we also have a few dogs. Mr. President, and it's not because this body has gone to the dogs, but Mr. President, this is the Dogs on Call. It's funded through the VCU School of Medicine since 2001. And Mr. President, it is the goal of Dogs on Call to help study how animals improve our health, educate others about their findings, and to clinically improve the health and well-being through animal-assisted intervention. Mr. President, if you didn't have the chance to go by and visit any of them, I got a few licks in earlier today. They're up in the gallery and certainly willing to visit with you later. I know that the flu has been rolling around here, so maybe some good health is what we all need. If you could offer them the warm welcome of the Senate.
I thank the Senator. Would our friends and leaders from Dogs on Call please rise in the gallery if you are able? Thank you all so much. So wonderful to see you. Thank you for all that you do to improve the health of so many people, and also to our wonderful members of our K-9 family. Thank you to each one of them for their love and their care. They're certainly members of our family, and we're grateful to VCU and to each one of you for all that you do. So we echo the generous and eloquent words of the Senator from Hanover, Senator McDougal, and I would ask everyone to please join me in sending the warmest welcome of the Senate to our leaders from Dogs on Call. Do any other senators wish to be recognized for purposes of an introduction? Is there any other business to come in the morning hour? Seeing none, the clerk will call the calendar.
Senate calendar for Tuesday, February 18th, 2020. Uncontested calendar. House bills on third reading.
Senior Senator from Fairfax, Senator Saslaw.
Mr. President, I now move that all House bills on third reading on the uncontested calendar, that's pages 1 through 3, House Bill 1605 through 1482, be advanced to their final passage in a block after the adoption of amendments thereto, and any senator desiring to remove a bill from the block, please do so after the clerk has read the number of the bill.
Thank the Senator. The question is, shall House bills on the uncontested calendar, third reading, pages 1 through 3, House Bill 1605 through House Bill 1482, be placed upon their final passage in the block after the adoption of any amendments thereto, with the understanding that any senator desiring a bill be removed from the block will do so after the clerk has read the number of the bill. All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The motion is agreed to. The bills are before us in the block. Clerk, read the number of the bills.
House Bill 1605, House Bill 287, House Bill 400, House Bill 543, House Bill 593, House Bill 595, House Bill 1482.
Senator from Arlington, Senator Favola.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I move that the amendment be agreed to.
Thank the Senator. The question is, shall the committee amendment be agreed to? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The committee amendment is agreed to. Question is, shall the House bills pass in a block? All in favor of the motion will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senators desire to change their vote? Clerk, close the roll.
Ayes 38, no 0.
Ayes 38, no 0. The bills in the block pass.
Regular calendar. House bills on third reading. House Bill 257, a bill relating to school principals' incident reports, reported from the Committee on Education and Health, and there's a floor amendment.
Senator from Portsmouth, Senator Lucas.
Yes, sir. Mr. President, at the request of the senior senator from Richmond City, Senator McClellan, I would like for this bill to go by for the day.
Without objection, House Bill 257 will go by for the day.
House Bill 752, a bill relating to post-release incarceration of felons sentenced for certain offenses, reported from the Committee on the Judiciary with a substitute.
Senator from Fairfax City, Senator Peterson.
Mr. President, I have the floor amendment, and I need to know if it's acceptable to take up the floor amendment before the committee substitute.
No, I think we need to reject the committee substitute to get to the floor.
Well, then, with a request that we reject the committee substitute, I move that we adopt the committee substitute.
Thank the Senator. With the recommendation that it be rejected, the question is, shall the committee substitute be adopted? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The noes have it. The committee substitute is rejected. Senator from Fairfax City, Senator Peterson.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, ladies and gentlemen of the Senate, please take a close look at this bill because it's important. It deals with sex offenders and how they're treated after they've been sentenced and served their time. It had a very
Senator, I'm so sorry to interrupt you. Can you just waive the reading really quickly?
I move to waive the reading.
I thank the Senator. The question is, shall the reading of the floor substitute be waived? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The reading of the floor substitute is waived. Senator from Fairfax City, Senator Peterson.
Thank you, Mr. President. The original title on this bill was very odd. It said post-release incarceration, which was an oxymoron. I mean, why would you be incarcerated if you had been released? And the language had to do with changing the word supervision over what is currently happens with our sex offenders once they've been released, and putting that in the phrase incarceration. And we had a conversation on this in committee, and quite frankly, I did not feel comfortable with this bill at all. I know Senator from Franklin had a similar bill, and he's agreed, shares my concern, and I think some others do also. What I'd like to do is keep the word incarceration for supervision. I think this bill needs to go into conference. I think otherwise we could be condemning people to incarceration for reasons that really don't deserve it. Any of you that are familiar with the sex offender statute and the registration requirements, they are very onerous. And to say that someone should be automatically incarcerated if they happen to violate one of those technical requirements, such as notification or any of these things, I think would be very onerous. So I think we need to put the brakes on this concept, and therefore I would ask that you adopt this floor substitute, which does exactly that.
Thank you, Senator. For what purpose does the junior senator from Richmond City, Senator Morrissey, rise?
Thank you, Mr. President. Speaking to the floor amendment by Senator.
Floor.
Ladies and gentlemen of the body, I'd ask you to look at lines 13 through 15, particularly my friend from Chesapeake, who always points out that he is a non-lawyer. If you look at the language, it simply makes no sense. On line 14, it says, the court shall impose an added term of post-release incarceration of 6 months. Now, what does that mean? You've been released after serving your time, and this language says we're adding 6 months to it. Also consider the following. On line 13, it says, for a first violation of subsection A. Subsection A is a misdemeanor. A judge could give somebody 12 months, and then you're now imposing another 6 months to that. It's worded poorly. I agree with the senator from Fairfax. It needs to go to conference. Should have been a little bit more astute. I should have been when Senator Stanley's bill came through, but he just wooed me with his magic, and I wasn't on the top of my game. But I would agree with the senator from Fairfax that it should be sent back to conference so we can correct this.
Thank you, Senator. Do any other senators wish to be heard regarding the floor substitute? Seeing none, the question is, shall the floor substitute be adopted? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The floor substitute is adopted. Senator from Roanoke City, Senator Edwards.
Mr. President, I move that this bill pass. Senate Bill 750.
The floor.
I'm sorry?
You have the floor.
Yeah, I move Senate Bill, House Bill 752 pass. And it's been explained.
Senator, do any other senators wish to be heard regarding House Bill 752? Seeing none, the question is, shall House Bill 752 pass? All in favor of the motion will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senators desire to change their vote? Clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 37, no 0.
Ayes 37, no 0. House Bill 752 passes.
House Bill 637, a bill relating to child support, reasonable cost of health care coverage, reported from the Committee on Rehabilitation and Social Services, and there is a floor amendment.
Senator from Hanover, Senator McDougal.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I move that we waive the reading of the floor amendment.
Thank the Senator. The question is, shall the reading of the floor amendment be waived? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The reading of the floor amendment is waived. Senator from Hanover, Senator McDougal.
Mr. President, I'll assure the body I'll take the time to read this to Senator Stanley afterwards since he objected to it. Mr. President, when this bill went through committee, the concept of what the Department of Social Services was trying to do in relation to child support, I think many of the members of the committee agreed with. The concern that we had was the way the language was written, that if the only support available was with the custodial parent that was making less, but the insurance was being carried by the custodial parent, the non-custodial parent who is making more, the court wouldn't have the discretion to order the higher insurance for the child. So what we did was specifically include that if the best interest of the child is affected, then the court could go with the higher insurance based on the higher number. So with that, Mr. President, I'd move that the floor amendment pass.
Thank the senator. For what purpose, Senator from Eastern Fairfax? Senator Servell, rise.
Speaking to the bill, or speaking to the amendment.
Senator has the floor.
Ladies and gentlemen, I've consulted with the senator from Hanover on this. We talked about it in committee. I'm okay with this amendment. I think we should vote for it.
Thank the senator. For what purpose, Senator from Arlington? Senator Favola, rise.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the bill pass. And speaking to the motion,
Senator has the floor.
The content of the bill has been well explained.
Senator, I'm sorry. We're on the floor amendment now. Did you want to speak to the floor amendment?
I like the floor amendment, and I wish the floor amendment would pass.
Thank the senator. Question is, shall the floor amendment be adopted? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The floor amendment is adopted. Senator from Arlington, Senator Favola.
My apologies. Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the bill pass. And speaking to the motion,
Senator has the floor.
The content of the bill is actually explained by the floor amendment, and I would say that, fortunately, the members on the Rehab and Social Services Committee pay very close attention to bills that come before the committee and try very hard to fine-tune them to ensure that the intent is met. This bill actually allows the state to align with federal regulations, and we believe will reach a happy medium between the child support that may be required in terms of dollars to a family, as well as the health care insurance that is also very necessary to support a child. With that explanation, I hope that the bill passes. Thank you.
Thank the senator. Do any other senators wish to be heard regarding House Bill 637? Seeing none, the question is, shall House Bill 637 pass? All in favor of the motion will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senators desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 34, noes 4.
Ayes 34, noes 4. House Bill 637 passes.
House Bill 874, a bill relating to holding handheld personal communication devices while driving a motor vehicle. Reported from the Committee on Transportation with a substitute.
Senator from Western Fairfax, Senator Marsden.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the committee substitute be agreed to.
Thank the senator. The question is, shall the committee substitute be agreed to? All in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The committee substitute is agreed to. Senator from Western Fairfax, Senator Marsden.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the bill pass. And speaking to the measure.
Senator has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. This bill deals with, it prohibits any person from holding a handheld personal communications device while driving a motor vehicle. It comports now with Senator Servell's bill that came out of this chamber, with one exception, is that it's been moved to the traffic offense category in the code and out of the equipment section. And I move again that the bill pass.
Thank the senator. Do any other senators wish to be heard regarding House Bill 874? Seeing none, the question is, shall House Bill 874 pass? All in favor of the motion will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senators desire to change their vote? Clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 30, noes 7.
Ayes 30, noes 7. House Bill 874 passes.
House Bill 1511, a bill relating to towing fees. Reported from the Committee on Transportation.
Senator from Western Fairfax, Senator Marsden.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the bill pass. And speaking to the measure.
Senator has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. This bill changes the rate which towers can charge for evening, weekend, and holiday fees from $25 to $30. This is discretionary, and it's only in planning districts 8 and 16. It hasn't been raised in a number of years, and I move again that the bill pass.
Thank the senator. Do any other senators wish to be heard regarding House Bill 1511? Seeing none, the question is, shall House Bill 1511 pass? All in favor of the motion will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senators desire to change their vote? Clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 22, noes 15.
Ayes 22, noes 15. House Bill 1511 passes.
House Bill 1540, a bill relating to behavioral health service providers, barrier crimes exceptions. Reported for the Committee on Rehabilitation and Social Services with amendments.
Senator from Arlington, Senator Favola.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I move that the amendment be agreed to.
Thank the senator. The question is, shall the committee amendments be adopted? All in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The committee amendments are adopted. Senator from Arlington, Senator Favola.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the bill pass. And speaking to the motion.
Senator has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. What this bill does is it removes some misdemeanor barrier crimes when individuals are applying to be peer counselors. There is a screening process. There's a very thick guideline book that a state employee will go through. The misdemeanor crimes have to have been related to an individual's substance abuse, addiction, or a mental health illness. The determination here was that this is a best practice to be able to hire individuals who have been in very challenging positions. They do make very good peer counselors. With that explanation, again, I renew my ask that the bill pass.
Thank the Senator. For what purpose does the senior senator from Virginia Beach, Senator D. Steph, rise?
Mr. President, speaking against the bill.
Senator has the floor.
Mr. President, I wanted to remind the body that the barrier crimes we're talking about here, we're talking about 182-89 burglary. Burglary is somebody breaking into somebody's house, knowing at nighttime, knowing that they're going to be home, and then with the intent of committing larceny therein. It's reckless handling of a firearm, and I'm going to walk through the different codes. Reckless handling of a firearm, pointing, holding, or brandishing a firearm, air or gas-operated weapon, or object similar in appearance and penalty, assault and battery against a family or household member, threats of death or bodily injury to a person or member of his family, threats or death of bodily injury of persons on school property, death or threats of bodily injury to health care providers, prostitution, commercial sexual conduct, commercial exploitation of a minor, breaking and entering a dwelling house with the intent to commit other misdemeanors, possession of burglarious tools. Then, Mr. President, as you get into 18.2.248, manufacturing, selling, giving, distributing, or possession with the intent to manufacture, sell, give, or distribute a controlled substance, we specifically talk about H1 and H2. H1, any person who was a principal or one of the principal administrators, organizers, or leaders of a continuing criminal enterprise shall be guilty. And then it goes on. But it says when you're looking at manufacturing or distributing 1 kilogram but less than 5 kilograms, that's H1.1, at least 5 kilograms but not less than 10 kilograms. And it goes on. And then we look at H2, any person with a principal of one or more principals administering, organizing, leaders of continuing criminal enterprises, and you go down into, again, it talks about cocaine, ergoine and its derivatives or their salts, any compound or mixture prepared that contains quantity of such a substance referred to, and then it goes into at least 5 kilograms, at least 250 kilograms of a mixture or substance. Mr. President, we're talking about serious criminal offenses here, and then we're going to put them in touch or put them in charge of or working with our most vulnerable population in the system, our intellectually challenged, our intellectually disabled. I think this is a bad precedent. There's a reason we call these barrier crimes, Mr. President, and we should not allow these individuals who broke these barrier crimes to have access to our most vulnerable population. With that, I hope the body would vote against this bill. Thank you very much.
For what purpose is the junior senator from Richmond City, Senator Morrissey, rise?
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, speaking in favor of HB 1540.
Senator has the floor.
At first, I was going to go through the 173 barrier crimes, and then I was going to go through the carve-out to those barrier crimes, and then the carve-out to the carve-out. Instead, I think I'll just say this. What we want to do is give other people a chance to help others. You heard earlier in this session that I told you one of my favorite authors is Oscar Wilde. And let me leave you with this thought. The only difference between saints and sinners is that all saints had a past and all sinners have a future. This bill gives certain people who have had some convictions a chance to help others, particular peer-to-peer counselors. I hope you would support, I hope the body would support HB 1540.
Thank the senator. For what purpose is Senator from Williamsburg, Mason rise?
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, speaking to the bill.
Senator has the floor.
Mr. President, members of the body, you may remember last year we addressed the burglary element of this because the gentleman from Loudon brought out his famed snake hook story on me. This year we walked through some of these other it's a legendary moment, Mr. President, but this year in committee the senator from Hanover addressed the battery against a family member and the time frame there, but I'll direct you to D and E. So more than 10 years have elapsed since the conviction. Hiring would provide a deterrence based on a screening assessment that this is passed. More than 5 years. So this is a person, Mr. President, and these barrier crimes are focused largely on a past addiction. And if you remember last year, the effort here is, at the time, the senior senator of Virginia Beach spoke to one of his family circumstances, where a member of his family was able to overcome an addiction working with someone who had been there, working with someone who had gone through the trials and tribulations to get themselves to a point that they were to the good, living day by day. Mr. President, members, that's what we're attempting to do here. Taking people that had been addicted and had a tough past, but have worked their way out. And remember, this cannot be just hired locally. DSS has a statewide reviewer that has to then weigh in on whether or not you can hire this person locally. Plenty of checks and balances, Mr. President, plenty of past, and the opportunity for someone who has been there to say, it's not going to be easy, but if you do the things I did, you like me can come out the other side. Mr. President, I hope we'll support the bill.
Thank the senator. Do any other senators wish to be heard regarding House Bill 1540? Seeing none, the question is, shall House Bill 1540 pass? All in favor of the motion will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senators desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 33, noes 5.
Ayes 33, noes 5. House Bill 1540 passes.
Uncontested calendar, House bills on second reading.
Mr. President, I apologize for interrupting the clerk, Mr. President, but before we go into the uncontested calendar, having voted on the prevailing side by which we passed HB 874, which is on page 5, I'd ask that that bill be reconsidered so a member can vote.
Thank you, Senator. The question is, shall the vote by which House Bill 874 passed be reconsidered? All in favor of the motion will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senator desire to change their vote? Clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 37, noes 0, Rule 36-1.
Ayes 37, noes 0, Rule 36-1. The motion is agreed to. Senator from Western Fairfax, Senator Marsden.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the bill pass, having previously explained the bill.
Thank you, Senator. Question is, shall House Bill 874 pass? All in favor of the motion will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senator desire to change their vote? Clerk, close the roll.
Ayes 29, noes 9.
Ayes 29, noes 9. House Bill 874 passes.
Uncontested calendar, House bills on second reading.
Senior Senator from Fairfax, Senator Saslaw.
Mr. President, I move that all House bills on second reading on the uncontested and regular calendar, pages 6 through 21, that's House Bill 60 through House Bill 1232, that the rules be suspended and the constitutional reading of the titles be dispensed with.
Thank the senator. The question is, shall the rules be suspended and the second reading of the titles of House bills on the uncontested and regular calendars, pages 6 through 21, House Bill 60 through House Bill 1232, be dispensed with? All in favor of the motion will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senator desire to change their vote? Clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 38, noes 0.
Ayes 38, noes 0. The reading of the titles is dispensed with. Senior Senator from Fairfax, Senator Saslaw.
Mr. President, I would move that those said House bills now go by for the day.
Thank the senator. The question is, shall the House bills on the uncontested and regular calendars now on third reading go by for the day? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The bills will go by for the day.
Uncontested calendar, Senate bills on first reading. Senate Bill 29, a bill to amend and reenact Chapter 854 of the 2019 Acts of Assembly, which appropriated the public revenues and provided a portion of such revenues for the 2 years ending respectively on the 30th day of June 2019 and the 30th day of June 2020, and so forth. Senate Bill 30, a bill for all appropriations of the budget submitted by the Governor of Virginia in accordance with the provisions of Sections 2.2-1509 Code of Virginia, and to provide a portion of revenue for the 2 years ending respectively on the 30th day of June 2021 and the 30th day of June 2022.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Senior Senator from Fairfax, Senator Saslaw.
Mr. President, I now inquire of the clerk, does that complete the calendar for today?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. What purpose is Senator from Eastern Fairfax? Senator Servell rise.
Thank you, Mr. President. Point of personal privilege and an introduction.
Senator has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. Ladies and gentlemen of the Senate, joining us up in the gallery over here today is Edward Sims. Edward is here with his fiancee, Arnetta Burchett. She's a retired 20-year police officer and detective, Hampton Roads area. And I wrote about Edward in a Washington Post op-ed that I wrote about 6 months ago. Edward was born in Newport News, Virginia. His parents weren't really around a lot. When he was a child, he moved from home to home, lacked a stable environment. And when Edward was 16 years old in 1987, when I was 16 years old, he became a new father. To deal with that situation, he applied for some jobs. The way he described it, he would go places, there'd be a help wanted sign, but he was either too young or didn't have the right skills. Well, it might say that, but we're really not hiring that right now, that kind of thing. Eventually, homeless, distraught, mentorless, without anybody to turn to, he made the bad decision to commit 3 robberies within a 2-week period of 3 convenience stores. He was arrested for that, had counsel, chose to go to trial, and yet because of Virginia's 3 strikes law, he ended up being sentenced to a life in prison plus 63 years at age 17. At the time, we had parole. After 1995, we didn't. And we also had a provision on the books that said if you committed 3 robberies, you weren't eligible for anything. While he was a prisoner, he got his GED in 1989. 2 years later, he's a model inmate. He never had a single disciplinary infraction against him. He completed college-level coursework. He tutored other inmates, held numerous positions of responsibility, and did everything he could to try and show that he was ready to be released, even though the law didn't allow him to be. In 2017, the law firm of Milbank, LLP, their attorneys noted his situation and began to advocate for him. In 2018, I introduced legislation to try to change Virginia's 3 strikes anti-parole rule to say that you have to be at liberty between each offense instead of 3 offenses that are as part of a spree. After some discussions in committee, we carried it over for a year to give the parole board a chance to reconsider their view of that law, and they did reconsider that view, and now they do consider you to have to be at liberty between each offense. And subsequently, last year, Edward was released after spending 32 years in jail at the age of 49. And this happened again for crimes that he committed when he was a child, where not a single person got injured. That, folks, is the consequence of some of these laws that have passed. Today, he works as an auto mechanic. He's now learning how to use a cell phone because we didn't have those when he was when he went in. He is using his experience to advocate to others to try and make sure that other children don't make the same kinds of choices that he made. He's working on his public speaking skills. He's talked a lot in my office this morning. He's pretty good at that. But I just think as we continue to talk about criminal justice reform, revisiting our parole rules, the mandatory minimum sentences, Edward Sims is the poster child, and child is the right word, for what's wrong with our system and how we've gone too far. why we need to trust our judges, we need to trust the parole board, we need to trust these officials we put in position of responsibility to have discretion to make decisions that are in the best interest of all of us and not second guess them while we're here. So, Mr. President, I would ask that you give him the warm welcome of the Senate, and if you all get a chance, go up and say hi to him and shake his hand. He's honored to be here to watch us make some laws today and hear a bill about barrier crimes, which I'm sure he found interesting as well. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank the Senator. Would Mr. and Mrs. Edward Sims please rise in the gallery if you're able? Mr. and Mrs. Sims, thank you all so much for being here today, and thank you also for your courage and for your resolve in the face of a very difficult situation. It takes a lot of bravery to be able to get through what you've gotten through, and we appreciate your dignity and turning your pain into purpose to help other people. And we know that our criminal justice system has a long way to go to actually be fair and to provide equality and justice and fairness to everyone. And so you are standing as an example of someone who's overcome an unfair situation, but who will help others to overcome them in the future. So we're grateful to you for your example. We appreciate all that you do, and I would ask everyone to please join me in extending the warmest welcome of the Senate to our friends, Mr. and Mrs. Edward Sims. Senator from Henrico, Senator Donovan.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise for the purpose of an announcement.
Thank you, Senator. You have the floor.
This evening over in the Patrick Henry Building, there will be the Sportsman Foundation annual chili cook-off with a lot of unusual chilies, including moose and venison and many other things. I think this is about the 26th annual, and I hope that you will be able to join us over there for some chili if you need a bite to eat before you go home.
Thank the Senator. For what purpose is Senator from Northern Fairfax? Senator Howell rise.
I rise for an announcement.
Senator has the floor.
Thank you. On your desk, you will find the proposed Senate budget. And if you have any questions at all about it, please feel free to ask the Senate Finance staff. They, as you know, are very knowledgeable and will be able to help you with any questions. On Thursday, during the session, we will leave the floor so that the staff can give us a briefing on the budget, and then we will come back and vote on it. We're proposing, those of you who've been here a while know, that tends to be an extremely long process where each item that Madam Clerk has to list, and then we pull them out of the block and discuss them and so on. We're trying to be more efficient this year, and this is the proposal for how we will do it. If you have any floor amendments that you want to put in the budget, you need to have them drafted by the Finance and Appropriations staff and have them submitted to the clerk by close of business Wednesday. If you want to remove an item from the budget, from the block, that needs to be submitted to the clerk by 11 a.m. Thursday. The clerk's staff will then compile a list that will be distributed and read to all of us. There will be the possibility of recesses by the caucuses. If after that recess you want to make additional changes, that will be fine. And then we will vote on the committee amendments in block and then come back to the proposals. Now, I know this is a lot to absorb all at once, and so tomorrow Madam Clerk will have on each of your desks a memo to this effect. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank the Senator. Do any other senators wish to be recognized? Seeing none, the clerk will report any announcements on the desk.
To completely clarify that, I will not be reading all of those numbers. The end of a tradition. Anyone who objects can come up and read those numbers. Today, Tuesday, February 18th, the Committee on Privileges and Elections will meet 15 minutes after adjournment, Senate Room 3, Capitol. The Committee on The Committee on Agriculture, Conservation, and Natural Resources will meet 1/2 hour after adjournment, Senate Room A, Pocahontas. The Education and Health Subcommittee on Health will meet at 4 p.m., Senate Subcommittee Room 2, 5th floor, Pocahontas. Senators Lewis, Saslaw, Barker, Donovan, and Suderline. Tomorrow, Wednesday, February 19th, the Agriculture, Conservation, and Natural Resource Subcommittee on Hemp will meet at 8:30 a.m., Senate Subcommittee Room 1, 5th floor, Pocahontas. Senators Morrissey, Ruff, and Suderline. The Committee on Finance and Appropriations will meet at 9:00 a.m., Committee Room B, Pocahontas. The Rehabilitation and Social Services Subcommittee on Social Service and Corrections will meet at 9 a.m., Subcommittee Room 2, 5th floor, Pocahontas. Senators Spruill, Morrissey, Boysko, Chafin, and Kiggins. This is a schedule change. The Republican caucus will meet at 11 a.m., Senate Room 2 in the Capitol. The Democratic caucus will meet at 11:30 a.m. In Senate Room 1 in the Capitol.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Do any other senators wish to be recognized? Is there any other business to come before the Senate? Seeing none, call on Senator from Portsmouth, Senator Lucas.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the Senate do now adjourn until 12 noon tomorrow.
Thank the Senator. The question is, shall the Senate stand adjourned until 12 noon tomorrow? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The Senate stands adjourned until 12 noon tomorrow.